Hello everyone, this is Grace. It is December the 16th, 2020, and we are continuing our study in Revelation 13. We left off taking a look at the um, at the fourth commandment of God um, in relation to the image of the beast, and how the fourth commandment is going to be changed in order to honor the beast. So let's go ahead and take a look at the commandment. 6 days thou shalt labor and do all thy work. Wait a minute, let me finish what I was saying before. In the way that the argument was unique is that the man argued that we rest all of the time. He said, "Oh, we're always resting in Yahweh and this, that, and the other." Normally, they change it to worship in order to match Revelation 13. I have to go back. Because if you look at Revelation 13, it's all about worship. It's worship, 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 worship. And he says, here, and he had power to give life into the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause them that would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. So they changed their argument from rest to worship. And they say, oh, well, we're supposed to worship every day. This is the argument that I hear the most. I thought that the one that I posted was very unique. And I don't think I had heard it before. But what you tend to hear is, oh, we should worship every day. And they're right, we should. We should worship every day. But that's not what the commandment says. We should worship every day. But they change it to Sister White made a statement, which I love this statement. She says in the last days, and she was talking about the Adventists. She wasn't talking about the people of God. She was talking about the Adventists. She says that the people are going to brace themselves against the truth. They're going to study themselves and take a firm stand so that they can fight against the truth. Or she said something close. Yeah, something close to that. It may not have been her exact words. You see how they change it to go in direct defiance. Well, you don't see yet. Let's look at the scripture and then you'll see what I'm saying. "6 days thou shalt labor." Pay attention to see if worship is in here. "But the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt do no work. Thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, nor thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thine ox, nor thine ass, nor any of thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates, that thy manservant and thy maidservant may rest, as well as thou. And remember that thou wast a servant in the land of Egypt, and that the Lord thy God brought thee out thence through a mighty hand and by a stretched out arm. Therefore the Lord thy God commandeth thee to keep the Sabbath day." It's in Exodus as well. Hold on a moment, because I added it in here. Okay. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea and all that is in them, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. 2 points. First point, the Sabbath day is to show that you worship God. Yes, it is a holy convocation. We see that from Leviticus 23, that it is a holy day where you are supposed to greet and share and worship, for sure. let's go to Leviticus 23 and take a look at it. But the Sabbath specifically is a day of rest. And actually, since we're here, the Sabbath isn't even really a day of rest like the other holy convocations. The Sabbath is only a Sabbath on every seventh day of the week and on the day of atonement. Let's take a look here. 6 days shall work be done, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of rest, a holy convocation. Let's now look at the wording here specifically, because we're going to do a comparison. It says, ye shall do no work therein. It is the Sabbath of the Lord in all your dwellings. And the Sabbath is 7676. Sorry. Then it goes on to the feast of the Lord. The 14th day of the first month at even is the Lord's Passover. On the 15th day of the same month is the feast of unleavened bread. Unto the Lord 7 days ye must eat unleavened bread. In the first day ye shall have an holy convocation. Again, another holy convocation. Ye shall do no servile work. You see, on the Sabbath you do no work. It's 7676. This is Sabbath, and it'll say it somewhere, but it's 7677. It's not even the same Sabbath. And you can prepare food on these days. You can. Where is it? 7677. I don't know, but we're going to go down to the Day of Atonement. Maybe we'll see it. Because the Day of Atonement is also 7676. You don't work on that day. It tells you, it doesn't tell you it's a holy convocation. It tells you it's a Sabbath. It specifically tells you it is a day of rest. 7676. Okay. Seventh Sabbath. No, that's not it. Well, I need to go down further. I'm trying to look for the 7677 at the same time, and I don't see it. But there's two different Sabbaths, and on one, but there's only one Sabbath, 7676. There's only one, and because that's the name of it. Hold on a moment. Here it is right here. Here's the 7677. Speaking to the children of Israel, saying, in the 7th month, in the first day of the month, shall ye have a Sabbath. 7677. A Sabbatism or special holiday, a rest or a Sabbath. A memorial blowing of the trumpets and holy convocation. Ye shall do no servile work. Do you see the difference? Here you have 7677 and you do no servile work. On the Sabbath, you do no work. On the 10th day of the 7th month, there shall be a day of atonement. It shall be a holy convocation unto you, and ye shall afflict your souls, and offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord. Ye shall do no work in that same day, for it is the day of atonement, to make an atonement for you before the Lord. For whatsoever soul it is that shall not be afflicted in the same day, he shall be cut off from among his people. And whosoever, so where does it say Sabbath? Hold on. You shall do no manner of work. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations in all your dwelling. It shall be unto you a Sabbath. 7676. Of rest, 7677. So it's a Sabbath, but then the rest is 7677. But you can do a work. You can work on 7677. Well, you can cook. You can't work. No servile work. The point that I'm making is that um, they argue that you should worship every day. And this is true enough. And that's the most common argument that I hear. But the Sabbath is specifically pointing to a rest, number one. That was my first point. My second point was, and I began to make it before in the previous video, you can do away with all. The only commandment that identifies who wrote the commandments, the only one is the fourth commandment. So if you remove that commandment and you have all 9 and you keep all of the other 9, then you're worshiping the wrong God. Plain and simple. That is the plain and simple truth. If you keep all 9 commandments and you don't keep the 4th, then you're not worshiping God. Because the only thing that identifies the author of those commandments is the 4th commandment. So when Satan comes along and says, look, you don't love your neighbor, don't steal, don't kill, don't commit adultery, love your parents, don't worship idols, don't do this. All I'm asking is that you honor me on the right day. And all these plagues will stop falling upon you. Honor me on the right day. Don't believe that Bible, that old pesky book. It's old, it's outdated. I'm here now in the flesh telling you. But of course they can't believe the Bible, or they would know that he's not going to come down and tell you in the flesh, because they would be familiar with that parable where Yahushua came down. Do I have to go to that parable again? I have to find it. I have to find it. I have to. I'm so sorry. I gotta find it. Give me a second. We have to search for Lazarus. Let's see. Hold on. Why is nothing coming up? Oh, because I only put in part of his name. Let's put partial match. Okay, well, here we go. So let's look at this parable real quick. We haven't gotten far, I know, it's important. And there was a certain, here we go. There was a certain rich man which was clothed in purple and fine linen, and fared sumptuously every day. And there was a certain beggar named Lazarus, which was laid at his gate full of sores, and desiring to be fed with the crumbs which fell from the rich man's table. Moreover, the dogs came and licked his sores. And it came to pass that the beggar died, and was carried by the angels into Abraham's bosoms. We know none of this. This is a parable. No one's in heaven. There's no such thing as Abraham's bosom. Okay, this is what they believed in the time. Well, it's just a parable. The historic writers say that they believe this stuff, so they understood this parable to be real. But I don't think Yahushua would have catered to a person's delusions. So I don't know if it's true or not. But this is a parable. Anyway. And it came to pass that the beggar died, and was carried by the angels into Abraham's bosom. The rich man also died, and was buried. And in hell he lifted up his eyes, being in torment, and seeth Abraham afar off, and Lazarus in his bosom. And he cried and said, Father Abraham, have mercy on me. Let me get rid of these numbers. Hold on. And he cried and said, Father Abraham, have mercy on me, and send Lazarus, that he may dip the tip of his finger in water and cool my tongue, for I am tormented in this flame. But Abraham said, Son, remember that thou in thy lifetime receivest thy good things, and likewise Lazarus evil things. But now he is comforted, and thou art tormented. And besides this, between us and you, there is a great gulf fixed, so that they which would pass from hence to you cannot, neither can they pass to us that would come from thence. Then he said, I pray thee therefore, Father, that thou wouldest send him to my father's house. For I have 5 brethren, that he may testify unto them, lest they also come into this place of torment. Abraham saith unto him, They have Moses and the prophets. Let them hear them. And he said, Nay, Father Abraham, but if one went unto them from the dead, they will repent. And he said unto him, If they hear not Moses and the prophets, neither will they be persuaded, though one rose from the dead. Why did he put the name of this character as Lazarus? Because shortly after this, he raised Lazarus from the dead. And then, instead of believing, the Pharisees were running around plotting and planning to kill him. And eventually did kill him. Do you see the irony? So they weren't going to believe anyway. So when he came, he just sealed the deception. Not for God, but for them. So that they could see that they weren't going to serve God. So the image to the beast, and I may do a video that goes into more detail and gives you more facts, but I don't know how much. I meant to watch my old videos and see what I had put in there, but I didn't get that done. I'm sorry, but so I may end up doing a separate video, and we'll go through and look at the facts. But it tells you the details for the beast are in Daniel 8. It gives you a clear indication that the law is going to be changed. He's going to try and change the law. And there's only one law that's a time. And he only needs to change one, and it's not going to be thou shalt not murder. And if it's an image to the beast, he has to get rid of the 4th commandment. Otherwise, it's going to be an image to God. If he doesn't get rid of the 4th commandment, the 4th commandment has God's name in it. And one other piece of evidence, which I will submit to you very quickly. Oh, that's why I put this in here. That's why I put this in here. The first commandment, the first message that goes out is in Revelation 6. It says, And I saw another angel fly in the midst of heaven, having the everlasting gospel to preach unto them that dwell on the earth, and to every nation and kindred and tongue and people, saying with a loud voice, Fear God, and give glory to him. Saying as though they're not giving glory to God, for the hour of his judgment is come. Okay, so you have the judgment. And worship him that made heaven and earth and the sea and the fountains of water. That's a direct quote from the 4th commandment. That direct quote is the identifier of him as God and deserving worship. I'm not going to go back there. We spent a lot of time talking about this. You can rewind the tape and take a look at it. But that is how he identifies himself. He identifies himself as the creator of the earth and the sea. And the fountains of water represents Yahushua in other parts of the Bible. And there followed another angel saying, Babylon is fallen. It's fallen, that great city, because she has made all nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, If any man worship the beast and his image. So why not worship his image? Because you can't worship his image and worship the image of God. You can only serve one master. You can only serve one master. You cannot worship the image of God and worship the image of Satan. And all of this is accomplished by removing the 4th commandment, because that's the only thing that has his name in it. Anyway, let's continue on. Okay. Let's see. So, um, let's read this again. And deceiveth them that dwell on earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by a sword and did live. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. Okay, so let's finish up this first. In order for a non-living object, or in order for an inanimate object to speak, there must be laws that are applied to it. When you see a speed limit sign that says 40, that image, even though it's just a sign, it speaks to you, because you know that the law is that if you get caught going past that speed limit, that you could be fined, you could have your license taken away. There are repercussions to that action. So it speaks to you through that image. The same thing with any sign or any image. It can bring back memories. It can bring forth laws. It can bring back even emotions sometimes. But it speaks to you through, the basic image, not including emotions and stuff like that. It speaks to you through laws. And that's how it speaks to everyone. Emotions can't count because emotions are individual. Okay, that's an individual thing. When it speaks to everyone. Anyone can hear it. Anyone can hear. So there has to be a law attached to it. Same thing is if you live in your parents' house. Maybe you're a teenager. If you try to sneak out of the house, you know that there are laws and consequences that must be met, even though there's nothing actually written down that says you have to do A, B, C, D, E, F, G. No, it's just an image. So this law causes that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. Now, the thing about it is, when they make this law, Sister White tells us this, but you can figure it out logically. When they make this law, it's not going to be enough for them to keep the Sabbath and keep Sunday. They are going to eventually get to the point where, because the plagues are not going to stop falling, because they're not worshiping God. They're worshiping Satan. And when the plagues are falling upon them and hurting them and causing all of this pain and anger, and they see these saints are doing just fine. Oh man, can you imagine? Can you imagine? So eventually it's going to get to the point where it's not enough for them to keep Saturday and Sunday. They're going to make it a law where they can no longer keep Saturday and that they must keep Sunday. So that's what the law is going to be. But it starts off where they just have to keep Sunday. And then it changes where they cannot keep Saturday at all. Because the plagues are never going to stop. And he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. I didn't look any of this up. I think we're pretty familiar with this, and it's common. It's taught traditionally what it is. The right hand denotes your works, and you can keep the Sabbath whether you believe or not. You just can do it to get a job, do it to get along. For whatever reason, you're keeping the Sunday Sabbath, but you don't really believe it. If you keep it in your forehead, then you mentally accept and believe that this man is God. You're fully deceived, basically. You fully deceived yourself into believing that this is God. And it's not good, and it's not going to be hard to deceive yourself, by the way. He says even though the elect could be deceived. So it's not going to be hard to deceive yourself, but there are going to be some people that know the truth, They don't care. They're just doing it to get along. Anyway, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. So this is part of the restrictions that they put in place in order to persuade the people, because they don't want to kill him. Satan doesn't want to make any martyrs. That's the last resort. And that's also the abomination. Hold on a moment. Okay. We're almost finished. I can't remember what the point was I was making when I paused you. Let's just go ahead and continue. So, and no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. So, we know the mark of the beast. That's you keeping the Sunday Sabbath, okay? So, a name is a name. I didn't look this up. We can use reason for this. When you take the name, you take the character of the person. For instance, your children carry your name. When your children carry your name, they go out and they represent you to the public. That's why we're careful as children not to embarrass our parents by being bad, because it doesn't only affect us. Back in the day, they used to stone a kid if they were in, well, no, that was different. But you carry your spouse's name. You represent that person. You carry the name of your company. You represent your company. Your name, even today, your name is represented, represents your character. It's kind of like your word. Keeping your word, anyway. Anyway, that's what, so if you have the name of the beast, if you're a part of that organization, then you're safe. Or if you have the character of the beast, then you're safe. Probably if if you run around sinning, I'm not sure how. But if you have the name of the beast, then you're fine. You can buy and sell, and they recognize you as their own. The number of the name, or the number of his name. So we're going to have to read the next verse in order to include that in this. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. And we know that 6 is the number of man. We know from our study in Revelation that 100, well, we don't even have to go through this, okay? Because 666 is a man that takes the prerogatives of God in that he can forgive man's sins, the sin of man. And it also may include, I mean, we didn't study this, but it says that he committed many blasphemies. So, no, because Solomon didn't say he was God. He only presumed to forgive the sins of man. So that's what 666 is. So if they take the number of his name, then they claim to be able to forgive the sins of other men. The Pope, we have a living example of this. This is not inconceivable. The Pope claims to be the vicar of Christ, the liaison between God and his people. He can forgive sins, and he ordains his priests to be able to forgive sins on his behalf. They presume to be able to to forgive the sins of another man. That is what 666 means. So, the number of his name is him and his priests. That's the 666. That's all of their people. And that is the end of Revelation 13. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave them below. Until next time, y'all be blessed.